That was it, that was time. We're gonna look at the speed and most importantly, the reaction time of these 4 martial arts styles. Boxing, Taekwondo, Muay Thai, and Karate. Let's see which martial art's the fastest. Starting with Taekwondo.
I would say Taekwondo sparring is a lot of reactive and kicking based on the threat that you're getting or the opportunity that you're presented with. So of course, I'd lean that way. But I feel like because legs are longer and more distance, they might take a little bit more time to get to the target than, you know, maybe somebody that's using the hands.
Well, we're gonna find out just how close they are.
Because Taekwondo is going first, these are gonna kind of be baseline numbers. Numbers that we can compare to the rest of the martial arts styles. So really quick, let's play a game. Ready? Pause. That was your reaction time just to pause the screen, just to have your thumb go like this. Your brain heard the sound, you went, oh my goodness, it's time for me to pause. And then you paused it with your thumb that's just sitting there conveniently next to your phone. Unless you watch this on a television. I'm not a movie star. Watch me on an iPhone. Anyway, so compare that to these numbers. It's gonna get crazy. Maybe, I don't know how fast your thumb is.
So here's how this is gonna work. The computer is gonna give you a ding. You have to hit the bag as quickly as you can after hearing the ding. You'll get 5 reps.
Now, does it do it on the same interval timing or?
Nope, it's random. Let's start off with just like a roundhouse kick.
Taekwondo as a martial art isn't always necessarily known to be smashing, powerful, and brutal. While some of their techniques are incredibly powerful, they're more so known for how fast they are, how well they get in and out and utilize their legs. So I'm very interested to see exactly what these strikes look like from a speed perspective. I have here the numbers. I actually do have, like typically I'll just take a piece of paper and I'll just like read from whatever techno. I've actually got numbers this time on paper. So their regular roundhouse kick had a 0.88 best reaction time. So just to make sense of that, beep. That was way too long. Here, let me try it again. Beep. Oh. Beep. That was still too long. Also, man, my second timer is good. Ready? Beep. That was probably 0.88 right there. Anyway, yeah, so that's about 0.88. So from hearing the beep to, like, then you're kicked. Anyway, let's move on. But it's gonna get faster than that throughout the day, I promise. Now, when he threw this roundhouse kick defensively, moving backwards, it wasn't much different. In fact, you would expect maybe the jumping and switching would make a faster reaction time or a quicker time to get there. It doesn't really. In fact, it even takes away a bit of power because you're not really connected to the ground anymore. Now, when we did the power version of this video a couple weeks ago, Taekwondo back kick ended up being the most powerful pound for pound kick. Now this is a different version of it where he jumps, leaves the ground, and uses his fast twitch muscles to flip his hips over and throw that back kick. It's not as strong, but as far as speed goes, I mean, 0.91 with a 0.96 average. That's nearly as fast as his back leg roundhouse kick. So with the same amount of speed, he can take his back leg and throw it in front of him and throw a roundhouse kick, or bring it all the way behind him and throw a back kick. How do you deal with that? Now, there was one kick that was easily the fastest kick amongst these, and it's what they call a lead cut kick. Now, for us, it's just a side kick. With Taekwondo's bladed stance, their lead leg is really close to the target, so they can just kind of pop and pick it up, and really, I mean, the distance that it has to go is like less than a full leg length. All you have to do is pick it up and stick it into your opponent. And for Taekwondo, you don't have to have a lot of power, it just has to be enough to, I think, set off a sensor, which is ironically what it's doing here.
Can we try the tornado?
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be as reactively fast, but I wanna see just how much of a time difference there is between the roundhouse kick and the tornado.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, sorry. It came so fast.
Now the tornado kick I'm not expecting a lot. It's a technique where you have to turn, pull your knee up, jump, and kick. However, not expecting a lot probably wasn't a good idea when it comes to David Wright and throwing kicks.
Okay, so the fastest was 1.29. What would you guess the average is?
1.5.
1.32. That is so close. That's not like super slow by any means. You think about what the roundhouse was at 0.8 something, and the difference is you're making a full circle. That's crazy.
Now, in the video that I did before about the power, a lot of people were kind of confused with the power involved in Muay Thai. I think it's a common misconception that people think that Muay Thai is just a raw power game. But I have a feeling, after having done Muay Thai for the last 3 years, that it's gonna be a lot faster than people think. Now, this here is Jordan Dow. He's been training for quite a while. How did that go? Whew. Yeah, that was the roundhouse kick. The roundhouse kick blew me away with how fast it was. The rear leg roundhouse kick is Muay Thai's like bread and butter. I think personally it's like the second strongest strike in all of martial arts. But for it to also be one of the fastest kicks is just unfair. We know there's a lot of momentum that goes into whipping your hips around, coiling your leg up, and then releasing it at the last moment. Kind of like you would do a baseball bat. But think about it, the way Muay Thai works is it's a lot of standing and timing the reaction. It's not like karate and Taekwondo where you time the reaction from like a further distance away. No, those guys are right up on each other, kicking back and forth, catching each other's kicks, timing the perfect moment to throw this exact roundhouse kick, which probably is the reason it's pretty stinking fast, with 0.75 being the fastest and 0.84 being the average. Now with these elbows from the clinch, they might look like they're not the most powerful thing, and they're not, but because they're in the clinch, they can kind of come from any angle at any moment. You don't know when it's gonna happen, and elbows are hard. God, that sucks.
I know.
I feel like people, like, that doesn't look like it hits very hard, but it's just the nature of the elbow itself. Knees are the same thing. You're starting off from so close, the reaction time that it takes to fire one off it's pretty easy. At 0.65, 0.67, a knee is a very quick option, especially from the clinch. Now the teep is kind of like Muay Thai's version of the karate and Taekwondo sidekick. In fact, it's probably used more than the sidekick. This is how Muay Thai practitioners keep each other at bay. Now the roundhouse kick is probably a stronger option, but as far as keeping somebody away and poking them and prodding them and making sure they stay out of your range, the teep is the way to go. And in fact, when the roundhouse kick was 0.75, 0.84, the teep was regularly faster, at 0.70 being the best and 0.73 being the average, which means there's not a lot of like timing difference. It's a pretty small margin of change when it comes to how fast this thing is. Now we talk about how much faster it is when you use the tools that are closest to your opponent. The switch kick is kind of, in my point of view, it's kind of an exception. See, for a switch kick, you're essentially just making your front leg become your back leg so you can add more power to your roundhouse kick. It's kind of like this. If I had a slingshot that I only needed to pull back to here and I let it go, it might not have a bunch of power, but if I pull it back to here and then I let it go, it's gonna have more power, but it took that time to pull it back in the first place. That's kind of what a switch kick is. So it's not as fast as the roundhouse kick that already starts with the back leg. At 0.9 and 0.95, it's almost just as slow, not that it's slow, as David's spinning back kick. Now with karate, I didn't re-record me doing any of this because frankly, it just wouldn't be fair. It's not fair if I get to play with this thing all the time. I had to use the first time that I measured these numbers, and that was for this video, which is a similar concept, except I did all of the strikes. Anyway, my fastest strike was the back fist. Now the deal with karate is very similar to Taekwondo, where the sparring is like very long and it's bladed, which means this front hand here is really close to just throw this back fist. It's kind of like the jab of boxing, except it starts from even more sideways, and it uses different body mechanics to throw it. I'm not pushing with the bicep. In fact, I'm extending it almost like I'm throwing a frisbee, which is a bit looser in nature. My back fist measured up at 0.54 and 0.6 being the average, which is pretty stinking fast. My side kick was unfortunately a little bit slower than David's. I hate to say it. My sidekick measured in at 0.71 and 0.76, which is really close to what David's was, which means that we are very close to being the same level of fast. Also, I think I weigh 100 more pounds than he does. No, probably not that much, probably like 70 though. My roundhouse kick comes from more of a 50-50 stance. I've got weight on the front leg and the back. In fact, sometimes I even put more weight on the front leg, which I think allows my back leg roundhouse kick to be so much faster than the average back leg roundhouse kick. On average, my roundhouse kick was faster than the Muay Thai roundhouse kick. And I think it's solely because I just have more weight on the front leg. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but using the front leg to pull your body forwards is what adds a lot of speed and power to the roundhouse kick. The one that surprised me the most though was the lead leg head kick. At any moment in time, I like to be able to pick up my front foot and smack somebody across the head with it. I don't change a lot about my posture, I just kind of stand there and wait, and just like you would do a side kick where you pick it up and you place it, I do the same thing with the roundhouse kick to the head. These numbers were 0.76 and 0.81, meaning that my lead leg head kick was faster than the back leg roundhouse kick. In fact, it was faster than the Muay Thai roundhouse kick. So faster than Jordan could kick somebody in the body, I could kick somebody in the head. It's with the lead leg, so it's not as powerful, but you know, heads aren't super sturdy. Anyway, lastly, it's time that we move on to boxing. Everybody knew this was gonna be the fastest, right? Like, there's no question about this. Boxing's just super fast. All of the weapons that are closest to your opponent are available to be extended pretty much at any point in time, which means you've really gotta mind your P's and Q's. And so I know all of the strikes that everybody else threw were elbows, knees, kicks, stuff like that. I purposefully didn't say any of the punches yet that each of us threw. Each of us threw a baseline jab to see how our jabs measured up to a boxer's strikes. So David Wright threw a jab with a speed of 0.62 and 0.67 being the average. Keep in mind, Taekwondo doesn't throw a bunch of jabs. Muay Thai's best jab, 0.58 and 0.63. My best jab was 0.53 and 0.59. I'm faster than you guys think, I really am. I know I'm just like sitting in a chair right now, but your boy's speedy. Anyway, so keep those numbers in mind, because it's gonna get pretty crazy. What's so crazy about this though is that I really expected the jab to be the fastest strike for them, and it wasn't. The average was 0.43 and 0.52. So being within less than a second and being able to shave off 1/10 of a second of time compared to other people, that just doesn't feel right. He's at the end of his range here. It's still a long jab, and he's doing it so quickly. But what was so weird to me is that he was able to get a faster time with his cross. Now, it wasn't on average faster, but very quickly he was able to like pick up the reaction time, bang, anticipate stuff, and hit the strikes. I mean, his jab's best was 0.43, which is remarkable. His average was 0.52, incredibly fast, faster than any of our bests. His average strike was faster than our best, think about that. But then with his cross, he was able to get strikes as fast as 0.38 with the cross. That's his backhand. What?
Dude, I mean, how when I make the step like that, that's in my mind. All I need to do is hit, and I already have momentum going that way.
So that's really interesting that you say that, because you're creating like shortcuts in the movement that the reaction time is just the arm itself, but you've got other pieces in motion that allow you to have a quicker reaction time.
Mayweather, everybody know the pull counter. How he kind of sits forward, looks closer, pulls back. That doesn't work if he's too far back with his back leg. Everything else, his back leg sitting, he's got the weight right to spring back in as soon as he pulls just out of range. Like grip the ground with the front of your foot, the ball of your foot. It's gonna be a lot faster, whether you're feigning, whether you're punching, driving something. Right. It's that kind of stuff. So yes, other things definitely go into it.
Next up was the check hook, which is a rotational thing, so I wasn't really sure if it would get the same amount of speed as like the jab or the cross would, something that's a straight line attack right to the target. But man, it's pretty stinking fast. With the best being 0.47 as the fastest time. 0.47. I know you guys need me to do this again. That was too slow. That was still too slow. I'm really close there. At 0.46, that's the time that it took him to hear what was going on and throw a strike and land it. 0.47, something like this. Something that sneaks across your chin. It's too slow, still too slow. If you, that fast, that was too slow. Anyway, boxing's definitely the fastest martial art. I mean, are we surprised? I was still blown away though by how fast the Muay Thai roundhouse kick was, how fast the back kick was from the Taekwondo. I mean, everybody knew how fast I was, so like, I didn't blow myself away there. Yeah, overall, just like, I know these are numbers, and this maybe was like a boring video in theory because it's just looking at a bunch of numbers. But this is how you really compare stuff, scientifically, data. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Bang! See, there's no way you were fast enough to know that was coming.